with every breath I take, I say I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Please join me in prayer. And we come together on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in the full knowing at the deepest part of our being that we are truly blessed. We are gifted with life. We are gifted with so many talents and skills, ways to express in this world so that we can make it better than we find it. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak these words, to give thanks for Karen for this wonderful music that we have here, to give thanks for Travis, our technological whiz, that keeps us looking good and moving online. I'm grateful for our hospitality team, grateful for our ushers, grateful for our leadership council, grateful for our practitioners, grateful for each and every divine light who has walked into this room, each and every beautiful expression of the divine that has come here to celebrate the abundance that our lives truly are every moment of every day. And I know that this celebration will be perfect. I give thanks for Reverend Chris Lahiff, through whom Spirit is going to speak today, to remind us of all of these blessings, to remind us of the beauty and the joy and the power that service has to ignite the good of God in this world. I give thanks for everyone within the sound of my voice, knowing that they will hear that message that needs to inspire them so that they can go forth and express as only each and every one of them can as divine lights in the world. I release these words into that divine law that knows how to mold, make, shape, and create all the good there is everywhere, all the time. I let this go, I let it be. Together we affirm, and so it is. And I have inspiring words. Our first set of inspiring words comes from Marcus Aurelius. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, and to love. Albert Einstein, very brilliant man, very spiritual man as well, said this: only a life lived for others is worthwhile. And from our founder, the Honorable Dr. Ernest Holmes, love is the givingness of the self. It reveals service as love in motion. It's not about effort, but essence. We are truly loving. When we are truly loving, we're already serving. We have in the house, and you've probably seen this brilliant young man here before. He's been here to visit, but this is the first opportunity that he has to share his light and wisdom with us, and he's here to talk with us about the art of abundance. So just a few things about Reverend Chris Lahiff. He's, of course, a licensed minister in the Centers for Spiritual Living. Most recently, as spiritual director at CSL Cape Coral down in Florida. And he's studied and served in several communities, CSL communities, beginning with classes at Mile High Church. It's a familiar story, this whole thing, you know. It's somehow you end up taking some practitioner classes, and the next thing you know, they roped you in a ministerial class, and there you are for 3 or 4 years. And it's just how things roll. You show up around here, and they start finding stuff for you to do. It's incredible, you know. But, he did some online practitioner study, too, while serving at Miracle CSL in Cleveland, Ohio, and some service at CSL Connecticut, and into the Greater Orlando CSL. So he's had opportunities to be of service and share some of everywhere, you know. Chris currently lives in the Denver area, no more globetrotting for the moment, with his spouse, Lee, and their 2 children. And Chris's core belief is that love is all that matters. And so come on up, Chris.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you very much. Good morning, or good afternoon. I forget it's an afternoon here, which is great. I got to sleep in a little bit. I will never complain about sleeping in, that's for sure. Oops, get down the list. I was even coached ahead of time, and I still blew it. Okay, so The Art of Abundance. It is a good book. There's a lot of good stuff in there that, this is a subject that we talk about so much in Centers for Spiritual Living. Dennis Jones did a good job of pulling some things out that I had yet to put together. I'm like, that's a missing piece. That's good. So I want to start off by making a pretty bold claim that when I'm done, when this talk is over, everything is going to be perfect. Perfect. Everything in your life is going to be perfect. Everything in the world out there is going to be perfect. It's just all going to be perfect. You might be wondering, what's the catch? Where's the small print? The catch is that it's already perfect. Everything is absolutely perfect. And it might be hard to hear sometimes, especially, when we're in our messy parts, when we're in the stuff. It can be hard to think, like, this is not perfect. This is less than ideal. And, even to the extremes. I always like to throw a disclaimer in there that I don't mean to minimize anybody's experience. I don't mean to look at somebody who is in the throes of hardship, struggle, fear, wherever they are, and say, this is good for you. However, down the road, if we look back at our life and we look at those times when we felt like severely challenged, when we didn't know if we were going to get through it, when we didn't know if we wanted to get through it, in those times, there's been many times in my life where I wanted to give up. But then as I stand here now and I look back at those hard times, at those times that were immense pain, and say, but because of that, I'm now this. I'm now stronger. I'm now wiser. I now, whatever it is, whatever little diamonds we get out of that, we can see it when we look backwards. As they say, hindsight's 20/20. Well, part of this first rule I'm talking about today, rule number 7, being blessed, is recognizing that what I want to do is I want to turn that hindsight that's 20/20, into foresight. So when I find myself in that place, the place of struggle, the place of challenge where I question things, that I can start to ask, okay, so 5 years from now, maybe 1 year from now, I'm going to look back on this and say, there was gifts I gained from this. It's really hard to do when you're in the thick and the muck of it, but if we try, we have intuition, we have gifts. We are connected to the one infinite mind. And so when we're in our struggles, when we're in our thing, and we can step back and ask, what am I going to gain from this? What is the possible growth opportunity here for me right now? And maybe, just maybe, you'll get a couple little ideas. I was going to share a story that kind of illustrated like the first time that I did this. And so I was working a job. It was, Russ and I talked earlier, and I've done a lot of moving around. And so one of the places that I was at, I was only there, it was going to be 2 years. It ended up being 1 year. And I took a job. It was a really toxic environment, toxic boss, toxic everything. Except the money was pretty good. The flexibility was very good. I was kind of the stay-at-home dad role is what I was feeling during the day. So it was, I could work at night at this job. I'm like, it fits all these things. The only thing that stinks is how nasty my boss acts to me. And a couple of their assistant managers and things like that. It's like, there's an energy here. It's harsh. And I really considered just leaving that behind. But then I'm like, I'm only here for 2 years. Everything's pretty good about this job except for the that hits me every time I walk in the door. What could be the gift from this? And I realized back then, I'm like, I could use thicker skin. Because if this person can say words and break me down or make me want to walk out, make me want to quit, make me want to give up, make me want to yell back, if that person can do that, they're controlling me. Maybe this is for me. Maybe this nasty environment is actually good for me. And it shifted things. It was still hard and painful. And I spent, many times, it was about a 20-minute drive to work where I'm doing what we call spiritual mind treatment. I know a lot of you are very familiar with that. Another name is affirmative prayer. But I would spend that 20 minutes. Sometimes it would take a couple of minutes, sometimes the whole time, just to get myself into that alignment because I knew what I was walking into. And I know for certain there was 2 times that if I had not done that and prepared myself and aligned myself, I know I would have walked out mid-shift. I guess I've said enough. You get the point. It was pretty harsh. Some of the things that were said to me, I can't believe an adult would say that to another. But there it was. But it was a gift. I loved in the song, I wanted to write this down, where the opening song, the new community song that you're opening with, there's one in their line that says, I'm only here for God. Well, that's perfect, because God is all there is. So when you're here for God, you're here for everything. And it's the presence that we hold. So the gift, when Dennis Jones talking about be blessed, is to recognize how incredibly blessed we are just by being born. We are the children of the divine. This great master Jesus told us, he is the Son of God, but we are the children of God. And he was clear that what he can do, we can do, and greater. All of us, every single person, including that person that every time you hear their name, every time you see their face, it's just instantly, you constrict, you protect yourself. You're like, I don't want to see that again. That is a gift. It's so hard to imagine that's possible, but it is. Because it's in those moments that we grow, that we expand, that we also get to feel the range of emotions. We, in this physical world, emotions are the physical sensations, chemical, electrical, in our bodies of what we're thinking and feeling. And we can only get that in this physical world. That's why we're here. We're all infinite spirits. When we're in only spirit, we don't feel pain. We don't feel angst. It's bliss of the infinite and the divine. But we can't know what that is until we come here and experience what it feels like. What is infinite nature? Infinite nature, while we say it's a state of bliss and all-knowing, but in the realm of all possibility includes all possibility. And you can't know what a banana tastes like by reading about it or hearing somebody else describe it. You can only know what it is and tastes like by tasting it yourself. So that, when I can remind myself that, I can pull myself out a little more quickly when I find myself in that place of tension, maybe with my spouse or challenge with the children. This is a constant thing for me. I have to really remind myself over and over again that I need to cherish this moment. How can I bring love to it? That opportunity is always there. I don't always catch it. And often I'm right there throwing the gasoline on the fire myself until something gets my awareness, which, I'd like to say it happens every time, but it doesn't, because we're human beings. And that's how perfect this whole system is, how incredibly intense and painful it can be at times, and how incredibly loving and joyous, where the tears fall down your eyes of joy because you recognize the beauty. You're seeing a glimpse of that beyond when something just touches you so perfectly. Ooh, it's just such a rich experience that we are gifted to be here, and yet we curse half of it. Which, that's our human nature. That's how incredibly perfect it is that it is so convincing, it is so real. And when I can remind myself that, then everything is a gift. So, one of the quotes that Dennis Jones used in the book that I really like because it hits this. So this is from Oprah Winfrey, and it says, "What you focus on expands, and when you focus on the goodness in your life, you create more of it. Opportunities, relationships, even money flowed my way when I learned to be grateful no matter what happened in my life." It's all a gift, all of it. But what I really like about this, one of the things that I like about this philosophy is there's, a little what they call woo-woo in it. I'm going to think thoughts, and I'm going to attract this thing to me. I'm going to attract this life. I'm going to attract this career or whatever. I really like finding ways of making it pragmatic or practical. Like, there's scientific reasons why this stuff works, why changing your thinking changes your life. There's reasons behind it, and Oprah hits it here. When you are in a state of gratitude for everything, and you're not triggered over that toxic boss, or you're not, upset over this, and you're just reminding yourself, those things happen, but it's about bringing our focus back and saying, yes, that's happening, and I'm still this infinite divine thing, so I can still be grateful for what I'm experiencing. It creates a field. You act from it. When you are in a place of gratitude and feeling, when you go out in the world, you act a little nicer to people. You might smile and offer a smile to somebody. And when you do those things start showing up in return. Whereas if I'm triggered and upset about what's going on in the world, if I go out there, it's quite possible I'm going to be, like somebody gets a little short with me, like, hey, it's your turn, get over here. And like, oh, whatever. You're coming from a different place. And that energy is going to repel. If there was like an opportunity waiting to come to me, but then I show up, what do you want? I'm not going to get that opportunity. But if I'm open, receptive in who I am, people take note. Opportunities, relationships, even money flowed my way. Because it's everything, as Nikola Tesla told us, everything's vibration. The universe, you break it down to the smallest things, the electrons, subatomic particles. It's just energy and vibration, and what you hold, it emanates, and it affects people. And we have a lot more power than we think, and the most of that power is in how we think in here, because that's where everything begins. Perception, the story we tell ourselves, that creates our reality. So, if you're not familiar with the reticular activating system, who's heard of that? Anybody? Okay, got one? Okay, good. Look this up later. I'm not going to go into it because that would take a whole another 5 minutes, but it's the reticular activating system, aka the RAS. It's the device in our minds. You've probably heard this analogy before, that when you are looking for a new car, as soon as you set your mind on what it is that you want, all of a sudden you're seeing that make and model all over the place. It seems like it's just flooded in. All that's changed is your brain now knows that it's important to you. Your subconscious mind does. And so it's going to point it out every time it sees it. It's like, oh, there's another Toyota Sienna minivan. That was my dream car for a while. And we have it. But that's how the subconscious mind works. When you tell it what you want, it starts to look for you, and it's going to point things out. But it's subtle, but it's powerful. And that's what Oprah's talking about. When she just, doesn't matter what happens, there's a lesson in it. I failed, I'm going to learn from it. This happened to me, okay, I'm going to grow from it. I'm going to get stronger because of this. When we can see that, then life happens for us instead of it happening to us. Now, I know that like Fran Winslow last week talked about the flow, which I loved hearing about again. That moves us into our next rule, which is be of service. I want to talk about what I've heard referred to as the good kind of selfish. You know, we talk about, you can't be selfish in the world. But actually, when you are of service to somebody else, you're being selfish because you're going to benefit too. If the world is lifted up, we're all lifted up. If I want my life to elevate, to be more enjoyable, I want to make life more enjoyable for somebody else. It was really good what Gina had brought in there. So it's that flow that's important. We have to be able to receive. We want people to be able to receive what they need, and we also need to take care of our own needs. That's what living in this physical world makes us do. So the acts of service, sometimes that can be daunting. Like, how can I serve? Like, I'm barely, getting my job done. I'm barely getting my bills paid. I'm barely having enough time to, I'm lucky if I get time to brush my teeth at the end of the day. How can I go serve? But it's an energy. Serve by offering a smile to somebody. You serve by, I heard Gina talking about a friend that picks up garbage in the neighborhood. That's one of the things that I love to do. When you're walking along and you see a piece of garbage, you pick it up, and instantly you can literally see that the world is now a better place. We all want to change the world. But the same with that, everything's coming back. That Mother Teresa quote of, none of us can do the big things, but we can, great things. Not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things greatly. And we can feel so insignificant. We can see the challenge and what's going on out in the world, and we want to make change. We want to not see others suffering any longer. I don't want to see myself suffering, loved ones. And so we get hung up but I can't do anything about it. I don't have any power. I don't have any control. But that's not true, because it's those little things that really make the world a better place. It's one thing at a time. We talk a lot in Centers for Spiritual Living and other spiritual circles about there's a shift in consciousness that's been happening, that's coming, that we're going to end up in this place where we have evolved into a newer way of being, where we've left the old ways of might makes right, or money and power is what dictates how we treat each other. We've been talking about this shift in consciousness, that at some point we hit critical mass, that enough people have woken up and realized that our oneness is more important than my meanness. And if I want to go far, it behooves me to bring others up too. It's a shift in, a completely different way of thinking and being. When we say a shift in consciousness, it means we no longer think that way. We no longer think that in order for me to get ahead means somebody else has to get behind. I have to take from somebody in order to enrich my life. That's the lack consciousness that it's served mankind, humankind, well up to this point. We've made innovations. We've made ways of being. And now we're at a point where we can start to recognize this is not working for lots of people. Lots of people. Like here in the United States, we can see lots of people that it isn't working for. And even a lot of the people that have it worse here, if you want to look globally, the numbers are huge. That even if you're living in poverty in the United States, you're living better than 50% of the world, which is unconscionable to me, because we've got enough. We've got enough resources. We just have to change the way that we feel about others. We can't let somebody die in the street while we have the resources to help them. That's a shift in consciousness, and it is coming. And I think that's what we're seeing. So all the challenge that we see out in the world, it gets me activated at times, it gets me fearful at times, and I remind myself, we know what we're creating. We're creating a new world. That shift is already here in the mind of spirit. It already is. And that's why we're seeing all of this upheaval of the old ways, of the ways of fear, lack, and scarcity. We're seeing the upheavals. We are seeing systems literally being broken down and destroyed, which is what has to happen in order for us to build anew. And so we're building it right now. I want to say thank you to everybody that's in this room. Thank you to anybody that is seeking their own spiritual nature, seeking greater thoughts and ideas, because that is changing our consciousness. And like little light bulbs going off all over the world, we are shifting into a new way of being. Okay, so I want to use a couple other quotes here. This is one that Dennis used in the book. It's one of the beautiful compensations in this life that no one can sincerely try to help another without helping himself or themselves. If you sincerely, you genuinely just want to do something nice for somebody, or you genuinely, want to pick up a piece of garbage or whatever it is. If you're doing it just from a place of I just want to do this thing nice without any, what's in it for me kind of energy, guarantee you're lifted up. And again, going back to that idea of pragmatic and practical. I wasn't going to talk about this, but it was one of the powerful things that I've learned, and I heard it, I heard Wayne Dyer talk about it first. There's a phenomenon. When somebody does a nice deed for somebody, the person that received the deed, they release chemicals, endorphins, the feel-good, serotonin, I don't know all the names of them, I forget them. But you know what I mean. It releases this flood of feel-good chemicals. And what's really cool is the person that did the good deed, their brain releases the exact same chemicals as if they were the one receiving it. So a scientific reason to back up what Jesus talked about, help your neighbor. It's a selfish thing to do, but the good kind of selfish. But what was really cool about that Wayne Dyer pointed out was that while both of those people received that, anybody that witnessed it, even if you witnessed it on YouTube 10 years later, your brain says, ooh, that's when, when you get the little goosebumps, or some people call them the God bumps. It's ooh, just by watching somebody do a nice thing for somebody else. That's how easy it is to make the world a better place. One little thing at a time. We have so much more power than we believe. And it's happening. The world is changing. But it takes action. And so I'm going to get to that here in a minute. Okay, so now this is from the founder of the philosophy of science of mind that says the same kind of thing. He says, we should give of ourselves in love and in service to others, in a spirit of generosity and good fellowship. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive, for everything moves in circles. A kind word, a thoughtful act, perhaps just a smile, can help lighten the burdens of others. Don't we want to lighten people's burdens? It seems like there's people out there that want to pile burdens on. What good does that do? I want to lighten burdens. And man, a smile is free. And then one last one from Ernest Holmes. Be the light that shines upon the darkness. Starts in mind, like even just holding a good thought in your head right now, you are being light. We're connected. Our thoughts connected. It is all one, and there's no way to deny that. So this is what I want to kind of leave us with. Everything, everyone, everything is sacred. You know, the broken down buildings that are destroyed over there, they're sacred. It's all God's stuff. It's all universal energy. Every person. So if I find myself angry or, say that toxic boss that I had, if I'm like throwing daggers in my mind, they're coming right back at me because there's no separation. They are sacred. We have a saying in our house that there's no bad guys. There's no bad people. There's just people that do bad things. But inside, they have the same divine spark of life that we all do. And I don't want to ever give up on that on somebody. And I don't want to hold thoughts of animosity because it's hurting me. It's changing my energy. When I talked at the very beginning about, if I'm in a place of gratitude, I go out into the world, I act in a way that people want to be around, that people want to do nice things for. But if I'm in that place where I'm just like, fearful, hate what that person did, I hate what these lawmakers are doing, I hate, all these things, I'm forgetting that they're sacred too. So if I believe that we are all one, I have to see the Spirit, the divine, in everybody. And it's a practice. It's a practice. Yeah. Okay, and so then the other thing is that we create change with every act outside of our normal functioning. Let's make lots of change. So what I mean by this, anything that's outside of the norm. So like I've developed my philosophy so that if I'm walking down the street and I see a piece of garbage, I pick it up. Now that's so ingrained in like what I do. Granted, I still miss occasionally, especially times when I'm not prayed up and I'm in that stressful place. I'm like, I don't have the energy right now. Nope. But that's become my norm. So now that's no longer outside of my normal functioning. It's still a good thing, and I don't want to stop doing it. But now it's part of me. So now, maybe next time that I'm out walking along, I see, oh man, I should have thought this through a little better. What's a good example? I see somebody that needs help across the street, and I'm walking like, that person's carrying a lot of bags. They could probably use a hand. Somebody should do that. Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to look at those. I forgot I was supposed to avoid those lights. But when you say something like, somebody should do something, and you just keep on walking. No, you are that somebody. And that's when that impulse or that idea to do something there comes to you. That's how the universe works. It's whispers. It's not blaring trumpets saying, don't, no, this is for you. No, it's little subtle things. It's something just in your mind. Somebody should do something. Oh, that's the sign. I am that somebody. So when you do that, outside of what your normal thing of doing, your normal mode of being is, you have changed the world. It is now different than it would have been had you just done what you normally would do. You have now changed the world. And it is that, sounds simple and trite, but I promise you, it is not. It is not. Those little things ripple farther than you can ever imagine. The reason why I pick up a piece of garbage when I see it is because I saw somebody else do it. I was walking with my wife's uncle, walking the dogs, and he picked something up in our neighborhood in University Heights. And I was like, just filed it away. We get back to my house, and I watch. He goes into the house and just puts it in the garbage. Like, that was really easy. That's how things ripple out. Those little small things, they affect others. And others say, I could do that too. So make lots of change. A shift in consciousness means you do things differently. It means we think differently and we think of different things. And then the last thing that I want to leave us with today, everything is going to be okay. It is. We know when we come into this world, nobody makes it out alive. Nobody. But it doesn't end here. So whatever happens here, it's all for our spirit nature to get to experience, learn, grow, all the good stuff in order to appreciate what it is that we are. So let's make lots of change, people. I love your ideas too. Thank you, Russ. So let's take that within, if you will. Just invite you to take a second and settle into your seats. Feel the energy in your body. How do you feel your hands without actually moving them or looking at them? Or maybe it's your nose or your toes. Can you feel that life force energy? When we tap into that, it's the one mind, it's the one infinite nature. It is that vibration of the universe, which is all love. Love is all that exists, that love with a capital L. So as I bring my awareness to that, I can accept the things that happen that are challenges, because I know that everything is love. And everything that appears to be different than love is simply love masquerading in order to point me back to love. So I offer up gratitude for each and every person on their path. I offer gratitude for this perfect, beyond imagination, perfect system that brings every opportunity of experience of our infinite nature to us, that it is so rich, the wide range of emotions that we can feel, that it's all a gift, that everything that I do, everything that I witness, it is all God showing itself back to itself. And I am an instrument of that. And I know that everybody that hears these words is an instrument of that. And I know that as we come together and seek deeper meaning within our own individual lives, that we are creating shifts all around us. And I know that Spirit supports each and every one, that when we ask, we receive, that as we remind ourselves that we are part of something so much bigger, that doors open, pathways clear, and we bring others along with us. So I affirm and vow that right now, that there is a love erupting on this planet, creating a new way of being, that it is creating peace, harmony, equity, kindness, inclusion. Everybody welcome together, knowing that we are all walking each other home, and that our time on this planet is all sacred. So in gratitude for that, in gratitude for each and every seeker, in gratitude for each and every iteration of the infinite, of the divine that is here and all around us, I say thank you for it all. I take it in, I celebrate it, recognize it, and I release it knowing that Spirit's got us. It's all good. And I affirm that by saying, and you can join me, and so it is. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We've all been through hard times. Feels like some really hard times. Sometimes you've heard people say, well, I think it's always gonna be this way. But I believe this too shall pass. if you want to make a change. Here's a little something you can do. It doesn't take a whole wide world to make life a little better. It doesn't take a whole wide world, if you want to make a change. Start with an attitude of gratitude. See yourselves clearer in the mirror. Then step by step, minute by minute, put your heart and your soul and your love right in it. And then, yes, you're going to see and be the change. It doesn't take a whole wide world if you want to make life a little better. You gotta take care of each other. They're gonna take sweet care of you. Every little change that we do makes the world change too. Step by step, minute by minute, put your heart and your soul and your love in it. Then you're gonna see a change. Here's more. Choose love. It's what we all hang on to. Choose joy. It's in a smile or in a song. Choose hope. I'm talking hope. It's what we all respond to when step by step, minute by minute, put your heart, your soul, and all your love in it. Then you're gonna see a change. One more verse. It doesn't take a whole wide world to make life a little better. It doesn't take a whole wide world if you want to see a change. Just hang on, just be strong. Remember, God is always inside of you. And step by step, minute by minute, put your heart, your soul, and your love right in it. And then, I mean right now, I'm talking right now, you're gonna see a change.